Hi, I'm Vicky Hamilton, and this is an AA meeting. No, hi. Hi, I'm Vicky Hamilton, and I'm at the Hard Rock Roxino in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, and you just did a book reading, and you have a new book out about your life as a manager and music fan and promoter and all these different things, right? So tell me, I think that you came to music first as a fan, and how did that fan or love of music first develop for you?
The way I got into the music business is I worked in a record store in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and then I wrote for Free Press, and I booked concerts for a thing called Summer in the City.
Right.
And I met Tom Petty. He told me I look like a California girl, and I went to California, and then I came back and I saved money for a year and I moved to LA.
Right. Well, initially, what was like your first attraction to music? Was there one particular artist or band that you liked that made you think about pursuing this?
I loved music from the time I was born. I was into the Jackson 5 and the Osmond Brothers and David Cassidy. And, when I turned 15, it was all about David Bowie. It's still all about David Bowie as far as I'm concerned.
Right, yeah.
But, I managed a couple bands of Fort Wayne, one from Toledo, one from Fort Wayne, and it's like, I'm going to LA, I'm going to get them record deals. Never mind, I don't know any industry people. I'm just going to go,
Right. Now, when you moved to Los Angeles, that was a particularly good time for music in Los Angeles. I mean, what was it about that time and place that produced so many bands, you think?
Gosh, when I got to LA, it was pretty much about punk rock. They were like sort of ruling the Sunset Strip. The metal glam stuff didn't really start happening until about 82. And,
Right.
Motley Crue were kind of the leaders of that pack. And I was lucky enough to meet them early on in their career and kind of went from there. There was also the English explosion happening at that time too, with like Duran Duran and Psychedelic Furs, and I love both those bands as well.
Right, yeah. What made you think that Guns N' Roses would make good roommates?
Oh, I never thought that. I'm not insane.
Yeah.
I had, basically it happened like Slash was like, can Axl sleep on your couch for a couple of days? It was like, and it was, a couple of days turned into like 6 months. So, and then the rest of them moved in with me, except for Duff.
Right.
I don't think Duff ever spent a night in my apartment, but the rest of them I lived with.
Right, yeah. Well, tell me about the process of writing this book. I mean, when did it begin, and what were the challenges involved with putting it together?
Writing the book, yeah. It took me about 7 years, and the biggest problem with writing the book for me was the timeline, because I was pretty much as high as the bands in the 80s,
Yeah.
So trying to figure out what came first, and luckily I had kept Dave Runner pages, and I had made some tapes of like different things, like the Bobby Doll story I told about the Cheerios. That was one of the tapes. I had like completely forgotten about it,
Right.
So, I had a lot of help too. I had like 3 different editors that like really helped me, and I tried to write it without judgment towards anyone. I just tried to tell the stories and let the reader make their own decisions about it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, what do you hope that people get out of reading this book?
It's Appetite for Dysfunction, a cautionary tale. Hopefully they don't have to like ride the horse to find out that the ground is hard, They can learn through my experiences.